I didn't expect to wake up to Karen screaming at 6 in the morning. But after what she'd done the night before, she was lucky she was still alive. That's how this story begins. And trust me, once you hear what happened on her porch, you'll understand why everyone on our street still talks about that morning. My property sits right on the edge of the foothills, the kind of place where wildlife roams freely. So years ago, I installed a strong, steel security gate, not to keep people out, but to keep what lived in the hills away from us. Everyone in the neighborhood knew this. Everyone understood the danger. Everyone except Karen. Karen, our HOA's self-appointed rule enforcer, had always hated that gate. She said it ruined community aesthetics. She said it made the neighborhood look unwelcoming. And after months of arguing, she finally snapped. The night before everything went wrong, I caught her standing in front of my gate with 2 other HOA board members, holding bolt cutters like she was starring in some kind of action movie gone wrong. I confronted her, of course. She smiled. A smug, dismissive Karen smile. This gate violates HOA policy. It comes down tonight. I warned her. I told her exactly why the gate existed. I even showed her the wildlife camera footage. Mountain lions, coyotes, bobcats, you name it. They didn't care. They laughed. Karen tossed her hair, clicked her bolt cutters, and before I could stop her, she sliced through the lock and ordered the others to help remove the ugly thing. By the time they were done dragging it away, it was past midnight. I was furious, but there was nothing I could do until the morning. So I went inside, locked every door, and just hoped nothing dangerous wandered through the now open entrance to the property. I didn't expect the consequences to hit her first. At dawn, I shot awake to the sound of shrieking outside. Real terrified shrieking. I rushed to my front door thinking maybe Karen was just throwing another tantrum. But when I opened it, I froze. There, on Karen's porch across the street, was a full-grown mountain lion. Massive, silent, muscles, coiled like it was carved from stone. And Karen? She was pressed against her door, shaking, crying, whispering into her phone for someone, anyone to help her. All because she removed the one thing that kept danger out. Karen's screams echoed through the neighborhood, but the mountain lion didn't flinch. It just stood there, silent, watching her with unblinking predatory focus. It wasn't attacking, but it also wasn't leaving. And that was somehow even worse. I grabbed my phone, ready to call wildlife control, but something in me hesitated. If I did, it might charge. Sudden noise, sudden movement, anything could trigger it. So instead, I slowly stepped outside, careful not to draw attention. From across the street, Karen spotted me. "Do something!" she whisper-screamed, her voice breaking between fear and fury. Her tone still carried that usual Karen entitlement, but right now, she wasn't in control anymore. Nature was. I scanned the area. The lion had come through the open path where my gate used to stand, the same gate she tore down without a second thought. And now it was standing only 10 feet from her doorstep. Her HOA friends were nowhere to be seen. They weren't brave enough to come outside. Curtains twitched across multiple houses, everyone watching but no one stepping up. The irony? For months, Karen proudly declared she kept the neighborhood safe. Today, she couldn't even keep herself safe. I raised my hands slowly, trying to stay calm. "Karen," I whispered loudly, "don't move. Don't scream. Just breathe." Her eyes were wide, like she'd never heard such instructions before. "What do I do?" she whimpered. "You wait," I murmured, "and pray it loses interest." The lion's ears flicked. It turned its head, looking toward the open pathway again, the one leading straight into my yard. My trail cameras had caught it on several nights, but it had always stopped at the gate, pacing back and forth until it wandered back into the hills. Without the gate, it had nothing stopping it from exploring deeper into the neighborhood. The lion stepped off her porch. Karen covered her mouth to hold back another scream. My pulse raced as the huge cat walked slowly toward my lawn, sniffing the air. It wasn't in a hunting mood, but it also wasn't calm. It was curious and unpredictable. I took a step back into my house. I needed something, noise, deterrent, anything to convince the lion to leave without provoking it. I grabbed a large metal pot and a wooden spoon. Not ideal, but noise worked sometimes. As I stepped outside again, I saw Karen peeking around her doorframe, shaking harder now that the lion had moved off her porch. "This is your fault," she whispered harshly. I ignored her, because the lion had spotted me, its golden eyes locked onto mine, steady and intense. And then, it started walking in my direction. The lion moved with slow, deliberate steps, its paws silent against the pavement. Its gaze fixed on me like I was the only thing in the world worth studying. Every instinct in my body screamed to run, but I knew that would be suicide. Predators chase what flees. I tightened my grip on the pot and spoon, took a steadying breath and reminded myself, don't look weak. Don't look scared. Easier said than done when a 200-pound mountain cat is approaching. You like you're an interesting snack. Behind me, Karen was whispering frantically into her phone. Animal control, where are you? It's going to kill someone. No, I don't care. Get here now. Her voice shook worse with every word. For once, she wasn't demanding control. She was begging for survival. The lion stopped 10 feet from me, shoulders twitching, tail flicking gently. It wasn't crouched to attack, but it was curious. Too curious. And curiosity in a predator is dangerous. Very slowly, I raised the pot and spoon. Easy, buddy, I whispered. I'm not food. I'm not a threat, just heading back home, okay? For a moment, the lion simply stared. Then, without warning, it growled, deep, vibrating, and so powerful it rattled in my chest. My fingers almost slipped. My heart felt like it was trying to sprint out of my ribcage. I banged the pot and spoon together. The metal clanged loudly, echoing off the houses. The lion jerked back slightly, startled, but not enough. Instead of fleeing, it stood taller, ears pinned back. I tried again, louder. Clang! 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 This time it backed up a few steps. Not running, just creating distance. Its eyes narrowed, assessing whether I was worth the trouble. From down the street came a shout. Hey, over here! It was Mrs. Nichols, a retired wildlife volunteer, waving her arms. Brave or insane, I wasn't sure. But she had something I didn't. A handheld air horn. She pressed it. A blast of deafening noise ripped through the air. The lion jumped, spun around, and sprinted toward the open hills behind the neighborhood. It crossed my yard in seconds, disappearing into the brush the same way it had come. Through the path that used to be blocked by my gate. Silence fell. Karen choked on a sob, sliding down her doorway. She wasn't hurt, but she was shaken to her core. Mrs. Nichols rushed over to me. You okay? That thing was too close for comfort. Before I could answer, Karen stormed out of her doorway. Face red, hair a mess, voice shrill with anger and fear. This is your fault, she screamed, and you're going to pay for the damage this creature caused. I stared at her, stunned. She was blaming me. Karen marched toward me with the shaky fury of someone who'd just survived a nightmare and needed anyone to blame. Her eyes were still puffy from crying, but the moment the danger disappeared, the old Karen snapped back into place like a switch flipping. This happened because you refused to follow HOA rules, she snapped, pointing a trembling finger at the empty space where my security gate used to be. If you hadn't installed that illegal gate, none of this would have happened. I blinked at her, stunned by the mental gymnastics. You tore down the gate, I said slowly. Without permission, at midnight. She ignored that part completely. And because of your negligence, Karen continued, a wild animal entered the neighborhood, damaged property and endangered lives. The HOA is holding you responsible for everything. Mrs. Nichols stepped forward. Oh, for heaven's sake, Karen, she said, exasperated. He put up that gate because wildlife has been coming. Down from the mountains for years. I've seen the trail cam footage myself. Karen whipped around to glare at her. And that gate was a violation of community standards. It was protecting you, Mrs. Nichols shot back. Or did you forget the part where you were trapped on your own porch this morning? Karen's mouth opened and closed like she was searching for an argument that didn't exist. Then, as always, she doubled down. I'm filing a formal complaint, she declared, pulling out her phone with shaking hands. This entire situation is going into the HOA report. You will be fined, and you will pay for the emotional distress this caused me. I couldn't believe it. Not once did she acknowledge the fact that her reckless decision nearly got her killed. Not once did she apologize or admit she was wrong. But then, something unexpected happened. A police SUV pulled onto the street. Animal control had finally arrived. The officers stepped out and began asking questions. And Karen, confident in her warped version of events, strutted up to them. Officer, thank goodness you're here. I need to report a homeowner who endangered our entire neighborhood. She pointed straight at me. The officer raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, we've already reviewed footage from the wildlife cameras sent in by dispatch. Karen froze. And according to the reports, he continued, the mountain lion followed an open path directly onto your property. An opening created when you and two HOA members forcibly removed a legally permitted safety gate. Karen's jaw dropped. And for that reason, the officer added, you will be cited for tampering with safety equipment and creating a public hazard. Karen's scream could have scared off another mountain lion. As the officer wrote her citation, he turned to me. Recommend reinstalling that gate today, and let us know if the HOA tries to interfere again. For the first time all morning, I smiled. Justice served. Thanks for watching. If this crazy Karen story kept you hooked, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe for more unbelievable HOA drama, and comment below. Tell me exactly what you would have done if a mountain lion showed up on Karen's porch. Your support means everything. See you in the next story.